listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
There's nothing like the joy of being on the road if you're a driver and visiting all kinds of cool places. Well, maybe there is. It's being a retailer and being found by people who are on the road and growing your business. Today, we're going to feature something that was presented at the NACS show, the 2023 NACS show this year. We had a panel with 3 acclaimed road warriors. We had Stephanie Stuckey, who is chair of Stuckey's. They based their entire brand on being on the road. And then we had 2 people that are a little bit more connected specifically with the industry. Hebert, the Gas Station Gourmet, who writes about gas station food in the magazine, NACS Magazine, once a month. And Stafford Sheridan, who created a online series called Gas Station Tailgate Review, where he drives around, visits cool places with great food, and dives in. We had all 3 of them in a panel, moderated by NACS Chairman Don Rhoads, who loves being on the road as well. Take a listen.
All right, Stephanie, first question is for you. Take us through how you decided to link your brand to the road trip.
Well, I was very lucky because Stuckey's has been associated with the road trip since we were founded in 1937. It's literally in our DNA. We were the first roadside retail chain, 1937. That predates Wawa. Before there was Wawa or TA or Love's or Buc-ee's, there were Stuckey's. We love all those other brands, and it's bigger than the road trip, though, is thinking about what does the road trip represent? And that's what really was important when I bought the company back. So the Today Show video did a good job of a synopsis, but 30-second summary of an 87-year-old comeback brand. My grandfather built this company from nothing. He sold it in 1964. It was out of our family hands for decades, trashed by outside owners. I had the unexpected opportunity to buy it 3 years ago. So reviving it, I'm thinking, how do I revive this brand? And there were only a handful of stores left that we don't own or operate. And I thought, we're about the road trip. So we're going to tell the story of the road trip. We're going to share that and what the road trip represents. And the road trip represents freedom and fun and independence. It's a uniquely American experience. And we have all the stress in our lives. And I bought the company right before COVID, so people are stressed and they're dealing with all these anxieties. And the road trip started to experience a rebound because people could get in their cars and you can control where you want to go. We had so many constraints on our life. And suddenly you can get in a car, you can choose where you want to go, you can explore the back roads of America, you can find these fun, interesting gas stations that have amazing food. And it's affordable, and it's freedom, and that's what our brand is about. So it's not just the road trip, it's bigger than that. What does the road trip represent? And I think everyone in this room, we're all in the convenience store space in one way or another, and the convenience stores are about road trips. We're the heartbeat of a road trip. So that's why I'm so excited to be on this panel.
Well done.
Yeah.
Stafford, I'm a big fan. How'd you come up with your concept? And more importantly, why gas station food?
More importantly, what?
Why gas station food?
So I'm actually a farmer from a small town in Mississippi, so it's a long road. I'm going to try to do a quick synopsis, but in the early 2000s, I got really involved. Little town of 1,700 people, Drew, Mississippi, and revitalizing my hometown, I decided I'll just get in the food industry, which I knew nothing about, had no clue, never waited a table a day in my life. And as soon as Facebook became a thing, we started marketing pretty heavily through social media. And I was also judged for about 14 years. And after I retired from that position, I said, I really want to do something fun, and we do really great fried chicken. And I said, I'm going to go around and compare other people's fried chicken to my fried chicken. That was the original concept. So we made this great list, and they were all gas stations. Yeah. And so I went to Indianola, Mississippi, which is the county seat where I live, and the first one was Double Quick #1, the first review. I look like I am a homeless person in that video, because what I didn't know how viral that was going to go. And I immediately hit a nerve and walked out, and my 13-year-old daughter at the time was 13. She was filming it, and I'm like, well, where am I going to put this chicken? So we put it on the tailgate of the truck, and the show became the Tailgate Review, and I go around in my pickup and review gas station food right off the tailgate of the truck.
It's a beautiful thing. Al, how about you?
Well, my story goes back a long way, but my first career was law enforcement. So I spent a lot of time in C-stores in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Eventually ended up in television because I have no marketable job skills, and you can work in TV if you have no marketable job skills. And so I was doing medical projects for television. My photog and I went to a C-store, and it smelled like your grandmother's kitchen on a Sunday afternoon. I said, are they cooking in here? I'm like, no, it couldn't be. And walked around, and sure enough, there was roast, rice and gravy. There were rolls, there was green beans. And so we got the meal, and I told my photographer, I said, if there's some more of these in America, we're going to shoot a package, and we're going to get free lunch, because television is all about free lunch. And come to find out, there's tons of them. And so, a desire for a free lunch brought me here in front of all of you today.
That's great. Hey, Stafford, when did you first know that what you were doing was working?
It was actually pretty quick. I mean, we have a saying in Mississippi, and that is our gas station food is better than your restaurant food.
Love it.
And it's some truth to that. And so there was a lot of, I call it low-hanging fruit close. So I did a lot of these right off, because 30 minutes from my house, there's all these great examples of this. And so I did a bunch of them, and immediately started getting calls from media, and even to the point of some network media called me at one point right around the time COVID hits. But I was on this radio show, and they said, this is great. How long have you been doing this? 3 or 4 years? I said, 3 weeks. So just that quickly it went viral.
Stephanie, how about you? When did you know it was working?
I have a very specific moment when I was traveling the back roads of Alabama, and I pulled over at a former Stuckey store in Hayden, Alabama, and frankly, it looked pretty bedraggled. It'd seen better days. And I had been posting on social media every single day, and it was very salesy, because I thought that's what you're supposed to do if you're in business on LinkedIn, is let's get out there and sell stuff. So I was trying to sell product and get people to come to our stores, and it really wasn't getting any traction. I had my family members liking the post, and that was about it. And I pulled over at this former Stuckey's that just looked awful, and I posted something that was very vulnerable, and that was very authentic, but also inspirational, hopefully. And I know that's a theme of this whole conference, is let's get inspired. And I decided just to share my story, and I just did this post where I showed what the store looked like, and I said, I'm traveling the back roads of America in search of lost Stuckey stores, trying to figure out how to revive my family brand, but it's bigger than that. It's trying to revive what's special about this country, and I know we're all going through hard times, but I think together we're gonna make it. And isn't it just wonderful exploring America and the freedom and the fun of that? And I have been going from getting a handful of likes to, by the end of that day, I had the notification function on my phone, and it kept dinging and dinging and dinging. And by the end of the day, that post had 25,000 engagements. Wow. And that's what it's about. It's about sharing stories. It's about being authentic and vulnerable in a way that is real and that you're passionate. You've got to be passionate about what you're doing. And so I realized that was working, and I just kept talking about what I'm really passionate about, which is the road trip. And then people are responding, and it's working, and our sales have gone from, in the past couple of years, from 2 to 14 million with no marketing budget other than me posting on social media. And it's the stories that I'm sharing that people can connect to on an emotional level. And we all love a road trip. Or I don't think you'd be in this session. If you don't love road trips, you're in the wrong session. Sorry.
It's incredible. Al, you're a little bit different, all right?
Yeah.
You work in our industry.
Yes.
You're on TV. How'd you get started?
Well, again, looking for the free lunch. And I kind of knew, I didn't know what we were going to do with this. And we'd shot a couple of Gas Station Gourmets for the NBC affiliate over in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And we'd done a few for a show on there. And one day, NACS called me. And I'm thinking, I didn't know who NACS was. And I said, hey, would you want to write for the magazine? I'm like, well, I'm a TV guy. Maybe I can write. I'll learn to write. And that's when I knew this thing was going to hit, which kind of really changed my trajectory because I was just saying earlier, I kind of have a love affair every month with one of you out there that owns a C-store. I love C-stores and I love the people who run them. And what I learned, kind of transitioning from something that was for a television audience to writing for people in the industry, is that there's great food, and you guys are the cowboys. I mean, there's no cowboys in the Old West anymore, but every day people who own C-stores go in there, and then they try something new, and it works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, boom, it's out the window. No focus groups, nothing like that. And so what I really try to do is tell your stories so other people can benefit from your successes. Yes. So that's kind of where I've evolved to. Still do stuff for television on more for consumers, but I really do focus on these folks out here because these are great stories.
They are great stories. So,
can I add something just briefly on that? It's not just the places that you stop, and your places are all amazing. I love that C-stores are now elevating experience, but it's the places around there.
Yeah.
So I like to highlight, if you're going to a certain C-store, and like we were in Hattiesburg, on the way to the Hattiesburg store, we pulled over and saw a castle on the side of the road.
Oh my God.
So it's exploring all these fun places and letting your customers know that it's the journey and it's the places along the way, and then pull over at our store, and we're part of that overall experience.
Oh, there's great things to find in C-stores. Found a psychic goat in Onamowoc, Wisconsin.
Wait, what?
A psychic goat.
I love it.
The goat predicts
I live for that
elections
No one
accurately.
saw that coming.
Does much better than people in my business. We predict elections wrong all the time, but the psychic goat, I love that. There's great, you guys are in the business, but I always tell people who are not, you got to go through the doors to see what's in there.
Yeah. We can geek out on this stuff all day. I saw a historical marker for a UFO sighting.
Oh, I love that.
In Pascagoula, Mississippi. Yeah.
I found Hitler's limo once.
It was in that collage. You found what?
Hitler's limo at a gas station in Dragoon, Arizona.
I've been there. It's with the thing.
Yeah, you saw the limo?
Yeah.
Oh my God, if you're ever in Arizona, stop in Dragoon,
oh my gosh.
Hitler's limo, and something called the thing that you don't want to miss.
All right.
Don is like, please, you're going on.
No, I love it. I think this is great. So food is a big part of the customer experience, and so let's talk about favorite food experiences on the road. I'm going to go first. We have a Gorilla Burger that hands down is, I think, one of the best burgers around. And I know, Stafford, you have a smash burger as well that is pretty good. So
yes.
I think you and I need to maybe do a little mano a mano.
We need to compare notes.
Burger cook-off. All right.
Yeah.
And then growing up, small town, Kelso, Washington, there was a place called Captain Yobi's, and it's if you look behind you, there's a nice little pic of Captain Yobi's. But Captain Yobi's had the best fish and chips I've ever had in my life.
Love it.
Yeah. So let's go. Let's see here, Al. What your favorite food experience?
It's so hard because I live in Louisiana where there's great food. I live a half a mile from a place called Bourbon Street Deli, which is inside of a ShopRite. And my cardiologist has a beach house now because of their loaded fries. And so, I love that. I love Yabo's was in there and on the video. I love that. The Corner Grocery. Amazing chili. There's everything's so good, and but outside of Louisiana, I had a place, the Pig Trail Bypass Cafe in Elkins, Arkansas. It's in the mountains. Hussein Nasrallah, he adds Mediterranean seasoning to hamburgers, and
Derailed Diner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Derailed Diner.
Been
Dale
there.
Elks, I think, is somewhere out there. Best fried catfish I've ever had at the Derailed Diner.
Yeah, and they have a Scooby-Doo, as you walk in. It's so much fun. And
the big dollhouse. You saw the big dollhouse?
Yeah.
A giant dollhouse.
And
It's
they have a
great place for
giant
kids.
ship, the shipwreck.
Yeah.
As you walk in, so mind-blowing.
And that's a
fun.
great hook for families.
It's a travel plaza.
Now, I do want to say one thing, because this is, all of you should hear this. Interviewed Dale Elks a few years ago, and you want to
Yes.
know what makes a C-store successful. I really think it's connecting with the community. You need great food, connecting with the community. Dale Elks said something to me that I've repeated so many times. He was talking about getting people from the community in. He said, I want everybody to feel like this is their place. It's their store. And I think if you can achieve that in your stores, if you can make your customers feel like this is my place, it's a key to success.
They do a big Christmas party every year for the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
They're
Stafford.
amazing. Sorry.
Let's keep this moving. How about you? What's your favorite food experience?
You know, I've done over 150 of these reviews that I put out. It's so hard to narrow it down. I think in terms of regions, frankly, Al's region of the country so far, you can stop anywhere you want to stop in South Louisiana. Food's going to be great. It's funny, you get in South Mississippi, it's all about seafood, especially if you get below I-10. Best shrimp po' boy I've ever had anywhere is Kenton Sue's in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Incredible French bread, just loaded down with shrimp. There's shrimp boats all over the place. It's incredible. United Deli, I'm sticking with Mississippi, I guess. United Deli, Columbus, Mississippi. The guy lived in New York for a while. He moves to Columbus, Mississippi, opens a convenience store. They can't get that New York bread, so his wife says, I'll make the bread. And so I get on camera and I open up the 6-inch sandwich and I'm like, this is not 6 inches. So being the good farmer, I get a measuring stick out of my toolbox and it's 13. So come to find out, she measures the bread before they bake it and before it's risen. So you get this huge sandwich. And those are just memories you can't, you can't recreate anywhere else. And I'm like Al, I like the little out-of-the-way places. Granny's Corner is a little place in McCall Creek, Mississippi, it's population 4 in the daytime, and that's the 4 people that work there.
Sure.
Yeah. And the thing is, so many of those places are going to probably go away in the next 20 years. And you guys are going to have to find out how they made it 130 years. Oark General Store, Oark, Arkansas, 133 years old. They were open before it was a gas station. And when you walk in Oark, the boards on the wall, everything you're looking at is the exact same thing you would have been looking at 133 years ago. It's never been renovated. Those are the cool places that I love. And they all have, as you said, brands have stories to tell.
Yes.
And it's not just about that story. It's about the Ozark Mountains and all this other stuff that's going on around it. Like, you don't have to just stick to the one thing. You can talk about all of it. It's
that connection to place that matters.
So Stephanie, you go beyond our channel with your road trips. So tell us some about your experiences out there.
Well, I'm going to build on the big stuff, big food, and talk about Amarillo, Texas. Has anyone been to the Big Texan or heard of it? It's amazing, right? Have y'all been there?
I have not been there.
Yeah, so they give you this huge steak and a shrimp cocktail and a side salad, and you have to eat the whole thing in under, I think it's an hour, but they time you. And if you make it, then you get on the wall. And the point is, they have a shtick that makes them special, unique, and different. And I think that's what all these places share, and I think a lot of your brands share. And if you're figuring out ways to elevate your brand, that's what you need to find is, what is your secret sauce? What is it that's so different that people are going to want to go out of their way? One of the photos of me earlier was at an Allsup's with fried pizza, which is something I'd never experienced before, may not again, but I did enjoy it. And they also have their burritos. They're known for their burritos. So what is your secret sauce that's going to make people want to pull over? And I think that's really important. And also just having this sense of place and belonging. I'll give a couple more shout outs for special places. Tucumcari, New Mexico is amazing. It's on Route 66 and it's literally trapped in time. And they have all these great retro motels that have somehow survived over the decades and kept the amazing neon signs, and they have the motor courts. And then right down the street is the best Circle K. And it had is the only place in town that's open 24 hours, and you can go there at 5 a.m. and get coffee and meet all the locals. So all of these are paired with your convenience stores. You're part of the story. You're part of the road trip. You're part of the journey.
So all three of you have a virtual presence, and you figured out what your audience wants. And so what are some lessons for our retailers here? I'll start with you.
Okay, this is so simple. I did a story in a store up in New Hampshire, small town, and I'm like, how do you get people in? She said, well, that was hard. She said, so I started this thing, Customer of the Week. Well, that's a great idea. What do? Well, you get a muffin and free coffee. And that's it. And I said, how do you choose a Customer of the Week? She said, it's just what I feel like. But what that does is you get your picture taken and you're the Customer of the Week. And that is so simple. The other thing, I just did a story about a place, Callaway's Tennessee Kitchen. They did this thing, a speed eating contest. You could do this. So what they did is they had the first responders come out and they had this big giant breakfast. It's a biscuit with a giant chicken tender on it. It's huge, and whoever eats it the fastest would win.
Yeah.
But keep this in mind. Something happens every day in your store that's a Facebook post, a social media post.
Yes.
You just got to look for it. It could be someone's birthday, someone graduates from high school, your customer of the day. You got to post every day. A lot of times I'm looking for places to go, places to write about. If they don't have recent posts on Facebook, I assume they're closed. So look at your Facebook page. If you haven't posted in a year, people like us are going to think, oh, they must have shut down. And it's a shame that we live in this kind of time, but social media is really, really critical. And you need to use it to your advantage, and it is free. And do fun stuff. Don't be afraid to have fun. And I think that's how you get noticed. And one last story. This lady had a place. She bought a store, and it's in Virginia. And she had great food, but no one was coming in and eating it. So what she would do is she would put samples on a platter and run out to the pumps, and everybody gets a sample. Her food, 100%, 300%. She had so many people in there that she had put sacks of feed on the store so people would have a place to sit down. Think outside the box. If they're not coming to you for your food, you bring your food out to them. Go to those pumps, make it happen. I'm telling you, it's going to work. And then, of course, just make it their place. Make it a place where your staff makes eye contact. You care about your customers. People feel good when they go in, because that conversation they have with you and your staff, that might be the last people they talk to that day. That might be the only people they make eye contact with that day. So do that. I think that'll help. And, again, great food.
Great. Stafford?
I'm going to paraphrase a Seth Godin quote we were just talking about backstage. And if Buc-ee's opened a hotel, I think we could all reasonably assume what that hotel would be like.
It'd be big.
Right. If Marriott opened a C-store, I don't think we'd have any idea what that would look like, because there's a story and a brand behind Buc-ee's. Mm-hmm. Marriott has a logo. I think that what we're trying to tell you, I think what all three of us are saying is we're trying to inspire you to tell your story the way we've been doing it through social media. I'm like her. I don't use, Stephanie says she doesn't use anything but social media for marketing, right?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I used to do some radio and television. I've 100% gone to social media. I can tell you what my business has done. I'm in a little bitty town in Drew, Mississippi. We should not be there anymore. I've been there 18 years. We have doubled our business since I started doing this.
Yeah.
And people come in all the time looking for, where's the guy that does the gas station food? And that's just me with a cell phone. I don't have a production crew. It's me with a tripod and a cell phone. That's it. So tell your stories.
So we have a few minutes left. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. And so I'm going to give you this softball question. Stephanie, you first. What's your message to retailers? I mean, at the end of the day, what if you can be impactful today with the folks out here? What is it?
Here's a few key takeaways, and this is summing up what we've all been saying. It's about stories, not selling. You're sharing, you're not selling. And if you do that, you will sell. But it's sharing something that is, and some of you like acronyms, I do, it helps you remember things. So a good story has 3 elements, and the acronym I use is AIR. It's authentic, it's interesting, and relevant. And those stories are in your stores every single day. You just have to look for them. I'll give you a story as an example. Just last week, we have a retail store that's a convenience store attached to our candy plant in Rennes, Georgia. Little Rennes, Georgia, population 2,000. You would think not a lot interesting happens there, but it does. You just have to listen and talk to people. So we had this customer come in, and I was chatting with the woman, and she said, I'm so happy I just got engaged. I've been dating him for over a decade. He finally proposed. And I'm like, what? Like, he just proposed? And she said, yeah. I said, all right, you get free pecan log rolls. And we took a photo, and I told the story, and it was really heartwarming. So those stories are there in your stores. You just have to talk to your customers and find their stories and share them, and people will come. They want to be part of that.
Stafford.
There's a great book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
And that book is a direct reason why I started the Gas Station Tailgate Review. And it just means you can't always be trying to make the sale. I tell my story, I tell your stories, and by telling your stories, I'm making the sale later on down the road. And that's more fulfilling for me. It does take a little bit of legwork to do it. But read that book. It'll help you out a lot if you're thinking the way we're thinking.
Yep, I read it.
Yeah.
Back to those relationships with customers. I wrote a story about a store, I can't remember what month it ran in NACS Magazine, a little community store. And people love this store. And they love it so much, this couple got engaged and they decided to get married in the store.
So romantic.
That's when you love your C-store.
Yeah.
And the question you got to ask yourself, do I have that kind of relationship with my customers? You know, you should open your door every day or walk in every day, God, would someone want to get married here? You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, the little place in Virginia, people would get married in there. I mean, I'm finding small C-stores all over the country where people want to get married, you know? And so how do you have that relationship? It starts with, you know, loving your employees, make sure your employees feel valued and appreciated, and make sure that they take that, make sure your customers feel valued and appreciated, and get your food in their hands, bring it out to the pumps, cater, do something, get your food out there because you got great food, you got great people. And one more thing, man, the people who cook the food have amazing personalities. And you talk about, you know, interviewing people, talking to people. I haven't met a cook in a C-store yet that didn't have a great story. And those might be some people you want to put on your social media. I'm making meatball stew, I'm doing this. Those are interesting people who cook. I love them.
Well, thank you all for spending some time with us today. Great stories.
You have a story you want to share of life on the road? Send us an email at roadtrip@convenience.org. Otherwise, we'll see you on the road at a future NACS event or even the NACS show next October 7 through 10 in Las Vegas. Thanks for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.